My name is Hannah Mercer. I'm 32 years old. And this is the story of how my sisters celebrated taking everything after our mother died. Until a second will surfaced and named me as the sole heir. If you enjoy real-life stories like mine, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. I grew up as the middle child of 3 daughters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My mom, Margaret Mercer, was the sort of woman who held our world together with equal parts sheer willpower and quiet grace. My older sister Lily was the golden child, confident, charismatic, always the center of every room. My younger sister Chloe was the baby, tender-hearted but easily influenced, especially by Lily's strong opinions. And then there was me, the in-between, the helper, the stabilizer, the one who stayed out of fights and made sure everyone else felt okay, even when I didn't. Our father left when I was 9, and from that moment on, Mom raised the 3 of us alone. She worked long hours at a family-owned bakery, waking before dawn and coming home smelling like cinnamon and exhaustion. She never dated again. She said her energy belonged to her daughters. And in some ways, that devotion shaped us into who we became and who we didn't. Lily grew into someone who believed the world owed her all the things Mom never had time to give. Chloe became dependent on approval, clinging to whoever spoke the loudest. And I learned to do everything on my own. By the time we each reached adulthood, our paths diverged. Lily married young, divorced young, and moved back home twice. Chloe floated between jobs and apartments, always calling Mom for help. I moved to Cleveland for work, visiting every month, sending money when Mom needed repairs she wouldn't let the others know about. "Don't tell your sisters," she'd say with a tired smile. "They'll just argue." I didn't mind. Helping her made me feel like I was giving back a fraction of what she gave all of us. Then 3 years ago, Mom was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. The decline was slow at first: fatigue, swelling, shortness of breath, but the last year hit fast and brutally. I drove back every weekend, took her to appointments, kept track of medications, argued with insurance. Lily came when she felt like it. Chloe came when Lily dragged her. Still, Mom never complained. But I saw the truth in the quiet moments when she rested her head on my shoulder during a long wait at the clinic, or when she said softly, "You always make things easier, Hannah." Those words meant more than any inheritance. In early spring, she slipped away peacefully in her sleep. The funeral was small, quiet, filled with neighbors who remembered her kindness and customers who cherished her laughter. Lily wore black sunglasses like she was shielding herself from the world. Chloe cried into tissues she kept dropping. I delivered the eulogy because no one else could get through it. After the service, we met at the lawyer's office. Mom's estate was simple: the house she'd lived in for 34 years, her savings, and a modest insurance policy. Lily crossed her legs, shaking one foot impatiently. "Let's just get this over with." The attorney nodded and opened a folder. "Your mother left a will." He read through the standard clauses: debts, instructions for personal items. My heart clenched hearing her wishes, her handwriting printed at the bottom of each scanned page. Then came the line that made everything tilt. "Upon my passing, I leave all primary estate assets to my daughters, Lily Mercer and Chloe Mercer, in equal shares. Not me, not my name." The air went thin. Chloe gasped softly. Lily's lips curled into the smallest triumphant smile. I sat still. Completely still, my ears rang. I must have misunderstood. But the attorney continued calmly, unaware of the shift happening inside me. As her middle daughter, Hannah Mercer was financially independent. Your mother indicated in earlier notes that she wished to provide more support to the daughters who relied on her care. I closed my eyes. I wasn't angry at Mom, only confused, hurt, lost in the sudden distance between what I thought I knew and what was now official. Lily leaned back, satisfied in a way that made something inside me twist. "Well," she said lightly, "Mom knew what made sense. Chloe and I will handle everything." Moments later, They were hugging each other, whispering excitedly about selling the house, splitting the money, clearing the bank accounts, celebrating while I sat frozen in a chair my body felt too heavy for. But that night, while I packed up Mom's belongings, the ones she asked only me to sort, I found something she never intended my sisters to see. A sealed envelope hidden beneath the lining of her dresser drawer, yellowed edges, neat handwriting. To be read only if something is wrong. My breath stopped. And when I opened it, I realized Mom knew something none of us did. And she prepared for the day my sisters thought they could erase me. I sat on the edge of Mom's bed with the envelope in my hands, my heart pounding. The paper was thin, the seal brittle. For a second I stared at my name in her handwriting, half of me desperate to know and half terrified that whatever was inside would change everything. Then I tore it open. There was a letter, folded twice, and a smaller envelope tucked behind it. The smaller one was labeled in all caps, "For the lawyer only." My breath hitched as I unfolded the letter. Mom's writing wobbled in places, like her hand had shaken while she wrote. "Hannah," it began, "if you're reading this, something went wrong. Either my instructions weren't followed, or someone interfered with what I wanted for you. I love your sisters, but I know them. I know how easily Lily reaches for what she thinks she deserves, and how quickly Chloe follows her lead. I agreed to an earlier version of my will because Lily insisted it was fair. It never sat right with me. So I made a change. A private one. I glanced toward the doorway like Lily might appear and snatched the page from my hand. "If the will you heard today leaves everything to your sisters," the letter continued, "then they convinced me to sign the wrong draft or someone hid the right one. The second will is filed with my attorney in a separate record. He has instructions to release it only if you show him this letter and the sealed envelope that came with it." My pulse roared. Second will, separate record. Suddenly the smug look on Lily's face in that conference room took on a different meaning. She hadn't just been happy to receive more. She'd been confident. Too confident. "I never meant for you to be left out, Hannah," Mom wrote. "I've watched you sacrifice more than anyone, and I refuse to let you walk away with nothing while the others celebrate. If they try to cut you out, this is your proof that it is not what I wanted. You are not an afterthought. You are my anchor. Don't let them erase you." Tears blurred the ink. I pressed the paper to my chest like I could fold her voice back into my ribs. Downstairs, I heard laughter, cabinets, a cork popping. My sisters were still there, still celebrating like the funeral had been a formality between them and their inheritance. That night changed everything. I shoved both envelopes into my bag, wiped my face, and headed downstairs before I could talk myself out of it. The scene in the kitchen felt unreal. Lily had opened a bottle of champagne she brought for when this is all over. The house smelled like the casserole our neighbor left, but there were already real estate websites open on her tablet. "We should sell before the market cools down," she was saying. "If we move fast, we can each walk away with a solid chunk." "I'm thinking condo near downtown." "Chloe, you could get out of that basement apartment." Chloe nodded, clutching her glass. "It feels, I don't know, like things are looking up." They both looked at me like I was supposed to raise a glass to the future that didn't include me. "Wow," I said, my voice flatter than I intended. "Didn't even wait 24 hours after the will reading, huh?" Lily rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on, Hannah, don't start. Mom wanted us to be taken care of. You heard the will." "Did I?" I asked. Her gaze sharpened. "What's that supposed to mean?" Chloe shifted. "Han, please don't make this a thing. It's been a hard week." I set my bag on the table. "Yeah, it has. Especially since I don't exist in Mom's final wishes." Lily didn't soften. "You have a job, savings. You moved away on purpose, remember? Mom knew you'd be fine without handouts. Handouts. The words sliced. Funny, I said, because I found something upstairs that suggests Mom didn't see it that way at all. Lily's eyes narrowed. What did you find? Instead of answering, I slid the chair back. I'll let her attorney explain it, I said. Tomorrow morning. For the first time all day, Lily's confident mask flickered. Why would you need to talk to him again? She asked. The will's already been read. According to one version, I said. Let's see what he says when he sees the rest. The champagne suddenly didn't look like celebration. It looked like evidence. The next morning, I drove to Mom's attorney's office with a sealed envelope in my bag and a knot of dread sitting heavy under my ribs. The air outside was cold, sharp enough to sting my cheeks, but it did nothing to clear the swirl of thoughts in my head. Lily and Chloe had been silent when I left last night, their eyes tracking me like I was carrying a bomb. In a way, I was. Everything rested on whatever Mom had hidden in that second envelope. If the attorney confirmed what she wrote, then my sister's celebration wasn't just premature, it was built on a lie. The receptionist recognized me immediately and led me to a small conference room. A few minutes later, Mr. Callahan, the same attorney who had read the first will, stepped inside carrying a leather binder. His expression was polite but curious, the kind of look people wear when they sense trouble but don't know which direction it's coming from. I set the envelope and Mom's letter on the table without speaking. His brows lifted as he unfolded the pages, reading line after line with growing intensity. When he finally looked up, the polite mask was gone. Hannah, he said quietly, this changes everything. And your sisters definitely weren't supposed to see this. He opened his binder and pulled out a different file, thinner, older, stamped with a date from 2 years earlier. Your mother updated her wishes, he explained, but she asked that this version remain sealed unless certain conditions were met. My stomach twisted. Conditions like what? He tapped the envelope. Like you bringing me this. He slid out a document, and the moment I saw Mom's signature clear, steady, intentional, my throat tightened. This wasn't panic writing. This was a decision she made deliberately. Mr. Callahan cleared his throat. In this will, Hannah, your mother names you as the sole heir. The house, the savings, the insurance, everything. My breath caught so sharply it almost hurt. She hadn't forgotten me. She hadn't overlooked me. She had protected me in the one way she knew would matter after she was gone. Why wasn't this the will you read yesterday? I asked. His expression darkened. Someone filed the earlier draft instead of this one. That doesn't happen by accident. My chest tightened. Lily. It had to be Lily. She'd been hovering around Mom's desktop the week before she passed, claiming she was helping organize documents. Chloe would never have the nerve to manipulate legal paperwork, but Lily would do it with a smile if she thought she'd get something out of it. Mr. Callahan continued, your mother included instructions for the transition. As long as you present this letter and envelope, I am legally obligated to execute the second will. It supersedes the first in all areas. I felt dizzy. It was too much at once, grief, betrayal, relief, fury folded into each breath like conflicting tides. What happens next? I asked. I'll file the corrected will immediately, he said. Your sisters will be notified. They may contest it, but given your mother's handwritten directive, they won't get far. I exhaled slowly, the weight of Mom's trust sinking in. She had chosen me. She had prepared for this. She knew what my sisters were capable of long before I did. But as I gathered the documents and left the office, a new dread crept in. Lily and Chloe weren't just going to accept this, not after celebrating like they'd already won. Not after toasting to a future built on something that was never theirs. The moment I stepped outside, my phone buzzed 3 missed calls from Chloe, 2 from Lily, and a string of messages that grew more frantic with each notification. Where are you? We need to talk now. Hannah answered the phone. What did you do? Their panic confirmed everything. They knew something had shifted, even if they didn't know what yet. The wind whipped around me as I got into my car, gripping the steering wheel like I needed it to keep myself steady. I didn't go home, not yet. I drove to the park where Mom used to take us when we were little, parking beneath the same towering oak tree that shaded countless childhood afternoons. I needed a moment to breathe before walking into the storm waiting for me. My phone buzzed again, this time a voicemail from Lily. When I pressed play, her voice poured through the speaker, tight and sharp. "Hannah, I swear to God, if you're trying to ruin everything, you'd better think twice. Mom wanted us taken care of. Don't twist this." Then Chloe's message followed, trembling and confused. "Han, Lily says you're doing something with the lawyer. Please call me." I don't understand what's happening. The truth was, they would soon. Everything was already shifting. By the time I finally drove back to Mom's house, the late afternoon light had thinned into a washed-out gold that made everything look gentler than it felt. I parked at the curb instead of the driveway, partly out of caution, partly because a small part of me still didn't want to walk into what I knew was waiting. The curtains in the living room shifted, and a second later, the front door opened. Lily stepped out first, arms crossed, jaw tight. Chloe hovered behind her, nervously twisting the hem of her sweater. Their faces told me everything. They knew the attorney had called. "What did you do?" Lily demanded. No greeting. No hesitation. Just accusation sharpened into a point. I climbed the steps slowly, refusing to be intimidated by her height or her posture or that familiar air of superiority she'd worn since childhood. "I met with Mr. Callahan," I said. "He read the corrected will." Chloe's breath hitched. Lily didn't blink. "There is no corrected will," she snapped. "Mom's wishes were clear." I shook my head. "They were clear. Just not in the version you pushed in front of her." Lily's expression cracked. Just a hairline fracture, but enough to confirm what I had suspected since yesterday. She knew. She had known exactly what she was doing. "You're lying," she said, but her voice faltered. "You're making this up to punish us." I reached into my bag and pulled out Mom's letter without handing it over. "Mom wrote this 2 years ago," I said. "She hid it because she didn't trust you not to interfere." Chloe covered her mouth. Lily's face went rigid with something between fear and fury. "Give me that," she demanded. "No," I said, stepping back as she moved forward. "You don't get to rewrite this." For a moment, everything in the doorway felt suspended, the wind, the light, even Chloe's breathing. Then Lily lunged. Not dramatically, not violently, but with the entitled confidence of someone used to grabbing whatever she wanted. I jerked the letter out of reach. "Stop," Chloe cried. "Please, both of you, stop." But Lily didn't. She reached for my bag, fingers grazing the fabric. "That belongs to all of us," she shouted. "Mom loved all of us equally." "Then why?" I shot back. "Did she write a second will?" The question hung in the air like a flare, exposing everything Lily had tried to keep in the dark. She froze, her hands still half raised. Chloe looked between us with wide, wet eyes. "Hannah," she whispered, "is that true? Did Mom really?" Her voice broke. I softened slightly, not toward Lily, but toward Chloe, who had never been the architect of our family's manipulation, only its easiest participant. "Yes," I said. "Mom left everything to me. She didn't trust the way the first will was handled. She wanted a backup in case someone forced her hand." Lily's expression twisted, and for the first time since Mom died, I saw something she never showed anyone. Fear. Real, hollow fear. "You don't understand," she said, voice cracking around the edges. "Chloe and we needed that money. I've been drowning, I thought. I thought this would finally fix things." She laughed once, bitter and sharp. "Of course Mom would ruin it. Even from the grave." Her words struck like a slap. Chloe flinched. I felt heat rise in my chest, not anger for myself, but for our mother. "She didn't ruin anything," I said quietly. "She tried to protect what mattered, but we matter too." Chloe cried suddenly, tears spilling fast. "Why didn't she tell us?" Her voice cracked with something raw and young, something that reminded me she had always chased affection she rarely received. I stepped closer, softening. She didn't tell you because she knew Lily would react like this. She knew the pressure, the entitlement, the pushing. She didn't want her decisions twisted after she was gone. Lily's mouth opened, ready with a retort, but no words came, not this time. The silence felt heavier than the accusations that came before it. Chloe wiped her face, trembling, and whispered, "So what happens now?" Her question hovered like a fragile bridge between us. I took a breath, steadying myself. "The attorney is filing the corrected will. Legally, everything transfers to me. But that doesn't mean I'm throwing you out or leaving you with nothing. I'm not Lily." Lily's eyes flashed, but she didn't move. "All I want," I continued, "is honesty, no more schemes. No more hiding documents. If we're going to move forward as a family, it has to start with the truth." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Chloe nodded, her shoulders sagging with relief and shame. But Lily stepped back, her expression curling into something calculating. "This isn't really over," she whispered. Lily's words echoed in the doorway long after she walked back into the house. "This isn't really over." It wasn't a threat shouted in anger, those burn hot and fade fast. This was colder, deliberate, something she believed down to her bones. And for a moment, standing on the porch with Mom's letter pressed against my palm, I wondered what "not over" meant to her. Another argument? Another scheme? Another attempt to twist the truth until it bent in her favor. But I didn't have to wonder long. 2 days later, I woke to an email from Mr. Callahan with the subject line, "Urgent response from sisters." My stomach tightened as I clicked it open. Attached were scanned documents, statements from Lily and Chloe attempting to contest the corrected will. Lily's letter was filled with legal buzzwords she clearly Googled at 2 in the morning. She claimed Mom had been confused, that I had coerced her, that the second will was fraudulent. Chloe's statement was shorter, shakier, filled with hesitation. She hadn't accused me of anything. She'd simply said she didn't understand what was happening. I rubbed my eyes, feeling the fatigue settle deep. I forwarded everything to Rachel, a second attorney recommended by a friend, who called me within minutes. "Hannah, don't panic," she said, her tone calm but firm. "This is exactly what we expected. Siblings often push back when inheritances shift. But a handwritten dated directive from your mother is nearly impossible to dismiss. And the burden of proof is on them, not you. But Lily won't stop," I said quietly. "She's always been like this." "She can fight," Rachel replied, "but she can't win on lies." The legal filings began that same afternoon. Documents moved quickly, responses, counter-statements, verification of Mom's handwriting, confirmation from the witnesses who had signed the second will. Every piece built a wall Lily couldn't climb, no matter how loudly she insisted she could. Still, the emotional toll hit harder than any legal threat. That evening, I drove to Mom's house again. It felt strange walking inside without knocking, but the attorney insisted I had every right. The house was dim, quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. I found Chloe sitting at the dining table, clutching a mug of tea. She looked up, eyes red. "I didn't know she left another will," she whispered. "I swear, Hannah." Lily said the lawyer made a mistake. I believed her. I sat across from her, softening. "I know. It's not you I'm angry at. But I feel like I helped her," Chloe said, voice cracking. "I didn't question anything. I just followed." "That's who you've always been," I said gently. "It's not a weakness to trust people. You just trusted the wrong person." She nodded and wiped her cheeks. "Are you going to kick us out?" The question pierced me because it came from fear, not entitlement. "No," I said immediately. "I'm not doing to you what Lily tried to do to me." She covered her face with her hands and sobbed. I held her until her breathing steadied, the weight between us shifting from tension to something that felt almost like healing. For the first time since Mom died, I felt something close to hope, thin and fragile, but real. But when I walked her to the door, I saw a silhouette leaning against the fence line. Lily. She stepped forward, her eyes sharp even in the dim porch light. "So this is how it's going to be?" she asked. "You play the saint while making us look like fools." "I'm not making you look like anything," I said. "You did that yourself," she scoffed. "Mom wanted us taken care of. She said that our whole lives. She also said she didn't trust you not to push her," I replied. "That's why she wrote the second will." Her jaw tightened, shadows cutting across her cheekbones. "Chloe and I deserve something." "You'll get something," I said calmly. "But you won't get everything. Not this time." For a moment, she just stared at me, rage and disbelief fighting across her face. Then she stepped closer, lowering her voice to a near hiss. "You think this makes you better? You think being the favorite at the end means anything?" "It means Mom believed in me," I said softly. "And she didn't believe in what you were becoming." That struck deeper than anything I had ever said. She blinked, stunned not by the insult, but by the truth. Then she turned and walked away without another word. The legal battle didn't last long. Within 3 weeks, the judge ruled in favor of the corrected will. Mom's handwritten directive held absolute weight. And just like that, everything shifted back into its rightful place. The house became mine, the savings transferred, the insurance settled, but the victory didn't feel triumphant. It felt heavy, bittersweet, full of responsibilities I wished I didn't have. When the paperwork finalized, I visited Mom's grave. A gentle breeze moved through the cemetery, rustling the grass around the headstones. I knelt, placing fresh flowers beside her name. "You were right," I whispered, "about everything. They tried to take it all, but I didn't let them. I did what you asked." For a long moment, I stayed there, letting the quiet settle around me like a blanket. "I miss you," I added. More than I can say, a part of me felt her there, not in some mystical way, but in the certainty that she had guided me even in her absence. When I finally stood to leave, I wasn't carrying anger. I was carrying clarity. Family shouldn't be a battlefield. But when it becomes one, truth is the only weapon that wins.